Tech Addicts operates with a no money-back guarantee. This week, Lenovo's new intelligent mouse. Google Chrome has taken over the world. Samsung updates some devices. Sony are launching some new hardware. Are Oppo pulling out of the UK? And a rollable smartphone unravels. Hello and welcome to the Tech Addicts podcast. I'm Gareth the host, and I'm joined this week, as I normally am, by Mr. Ted Salmon. How are you, Ted Salmon?
Hello everyone, I'm hot. As we have a weather slot on this show, I can legitimately whinge about it instead of boring all the PSC listeners and the Whatever Works listeners with my whinging about the heat. But we've got a mini heat wave coming. I don't know what's going to happen in Northern Ireland, but in the coming few days, it's going to really hot up again. Arrgh!
That's the last blast of summer, they say, a last hurrah.
Yeah.
But yes, we're getting it here. I was out cutting the hedges yesterday afternoon, and I had to come in because it was fierce. There wasn't a cloud in the sky, and I could feel my skin burning.
Yeah.
Because I'd been out there for about 4 hours in it, and I thought, I need to go in. My face was tight, and I needed a drink. I was badly dehydrated, and I crawled in like Desert Island Willie or whatever his name was. What was that called?
Desert Island Willie?
I can't remember. The guy who lived on the desert island. Was it in the Sun or the Sunday Times? And he had the wee octopus beside him.
That was
Johnny Castaway. No.
Oh, okay. No, I thought I was with you, but not quite. Carry on.
Well, he's been stuck on that desert island for years.
Or Tom Hanks and Wilson. That'll do.
Okay, yeah, that's more modern, easier thing to reference. But yes, it was horrible, and it looks to be the same today, and I still have that bit of edge to do, which I'm not happy about.
Dear.
And this week is to be glorious, although Ted would rephrase that glorious to
Revolting.
Revolting. Yeah.
It's looking out the window now, and the same thing. There's not a cloud in the sky. There's hardly any breeze, and the sun is just beating down. It's just like, the height of summer. But I can't really complain because this year we have kind of got away with it. We had a bit of a heat wave in June, I suppose, but in July it was really nice. It was all rainy and
Everybody else hated it, just not Ted.
Anyway, we'll get over it. It's Christmas soon.
Well, you are having an effect, because my son said to me, whenever he heard that it was going to be a lovely week, my son said, "Oh, can we go to the beach?" And I thought I couldn't think of anything worse.
Yeah.
It'd be terrible. I live by the sea, and the coast is a stone's throw. But, going down and spending a day on the beach would be terrible.
I'd rather have my toenails removed with pliers.
Right, okay, well, we do have some feedback. Harry Myrie has written in about Beam Global, which is a company from San Diego, California, that has built a standalone EV charger that could be installed anywhere. The charger doesn't need to be connected to the grid or to the mains, and it has a giant solar panel that acts like an umbrella over the car.
Yay!
The user pulls up, plugs in, and charges their vehicle. Great for those with sun, I guess. Here in the UK, the days that it is sunny, you'll probably find that it's been badly vandalised by the kids. I can't imagine places like Grimsby or East Belfast or anything having anything like these scattered around the place, because they would last, 48 hours before they get graffitied, sprayed on, destroyed, people taking them home and try to repurpose them for their own houses. Maybe California, they tend to be nice to things, but here our kids have nothing better to do. Ted, what do you think about being...
a couple of thoughts, really. One is that in this country it'd be quite good to keep the rain off your car, so that's an expensive kind of roof, really.
Or keep your car cool during the hot weather.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. And secondly, it makes you wonder about these solar panels and how the efficiency of them. You would think by now that technology would have been moved on to a great extent so that these panels were actually efficient. You know, when you've got one of these, Steve Litchfield was playing about with these solar panels for his Jackery power bank thingy, and we've talked about the Anker ones. But actually, when it comes down to it, they're incredibly inefficient. Even if you have got very, very sunny conditions, you know, they just don't kind of get the power that you would hope they might to power. I mean, they're fine for running a pocket calculator, as we've known for decades. But you know, if you want to,
they have come on a bit from that.
Okay,
they have. I have a friend who has installed them in their home recently, and they do power his tech now in the house. He doesn't have to worry about paying for his computer or for a few other things in the house.
Well, even if it's pissing down with rain.
Yeah, they're not that bad. And I've got a few security cameras around the house that now rely entirely on the solar panel charging the battery that's inside the security.
Well, my experience of these things is that if you've got lights and things like that, then by the morning, by like 5 o'clock in the morning, there's no more light left. You put the thing out in the ground. It works like, you know, when it gets dark in the evening at 10 o'clock, and then by 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, it's not on anymore.
But they generally have just a capacitor that gets filled up, and that lasts for a few hours, maybe, of power for the LED that's in there. But the camera that I have, I can't remember what the size of the battery is, but it did take a good. I will say it took a good few, maybe even a week, for it to get from 50% to 100%.
Right.
But you know, once there, I've used it. I've left it running on my desktop for a number of hours, and it's dipped down to maybe about 95, 92%. I think is the lowest I've seen it go, and that's terrific. But that's been over the last month, where, as we found out during our almost invaluable weather report, that July wasn't particularly good here in the UK.
It was great.
Very rainy. It was cloudy, so it was a bit of a window into what to expect during the winter. Whereas days like, or weeks like this that we're going to get much more sun. So I think my cameras are all charged up to 100% currently. Right. So I don't have to worry about them, and I think this is a way forward for people to be thinking about security cameras, and they don't actually need to go and drill and get power out to them, because they're self-sufficient.
Anyway, I think people in California behave differently, a bit like they do in Manhattan. You know, that if you're naughty, you get thrown off the island, and so you know you don't get thugs and bully boys and nasty people like you do in this country.
Well, very true. Yes, we tend to help the people who wreck our country. Yeah. Give them special courses and things that they can go
on offshore sunny islands with strawberries and cream. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's also written in about the first wireless high-res headphones with UWB that will arrive in 2024. UWB being ultra-wideband technology instead of just Bluetooth. Ted, what can you tell us about these? These look nice.
Well, it's all about the UWB really, and the fact that it's going to be much more efficient in terms of processing data and transmitting data over short distances than Bluetooth is. And those that are thinking ambitiously about UWB are saying that this will take over Bluetooth. Bluetooth is a thing that is going to be repurposed, and UWB will be the one. However, what it doesn't say is that in order to get that bandwidth, that data transfer up to what they want it to be for high-res audio, the range of the thing drops by 10% to 10%. It drops by 90%. So the example they're quoting here is that instead of 100 feet of range, you get 10 feet of range. So it's all very well having your headphones on, but don't walk to the other side of the house because it won't work. But for audio files that really want the best quality, lossless audio and all the rest of it, then I can't see it replacing Bluetooth, because until they make it so that it's got the same range as well, can you?
No, and until it comes to, well, basically mobile phones, I don't think it'll be something that people generally go for, because you need to have it on the most portable device that you have in order to make the most of it.
Indeed, and it will drink your battery as well, because it's processing all that high-res audio. It's interesting to see someone doing it, no question at all.
Okay.
It's great to see the technology moving forward, and that'll be the first step, no doubt.
Yeah. All right, I thought I'd give a little update, because I didn't on the last show on my Synology adventure, because I've just sort of filled my Synology. I've got 3.5 terabytes left. I don't know how much I have in total. I've got 19.2 terabytes of data, 3.5 terabytes of free data to fill up. I need to get a new hard disk fairly soon, and they're pricey. It's a bit of a rabbit's hole to go down, and can cause financial difficulties once you start really getting into it, because the hardware is expensive. But one thing that I have discovered, and I'm sure a lot of people will go, yes, I finally caught up with the growing trend, is a service called Tdarr, Tdarr, which is a service that can essentially link into your Synology or any hard disk at all that you happen to have your media stored on. And what it does is it takes your videos and it just gradually re-encodes them at your leisure, and it doesn't have to do it too heavily. You can assign the amount of CPU or GPU cores you have working away in the background, and rescale your movie library. So where I've ripped a whole load of Blu-rays and things over a number of years, I can now re-encode them from 264 down to, or up to 265, I suppose, and save myself a certain amount of space. For example, I have done in the last week 1,242 encodes, and I've saved myself 315.8 gigabytes.
Wow.
Which is a considerable amount when I haven't really done too much. Now, there is some people will say you're better off spending your time going onto the internet and trying to find yourself a new copy of that video you already have, but there's certain legalities about that as well. It's a bit of a grey area, but given the amount of power that your computer is having to draw and leaving it on all the time, and it's constantly encoding, your electricity bill will probably rise a little bit in order to do this, to save yourself a bit of space. But going online and going to some nefarious website in the dark areas of the web and getting yourself a new copy already done in 265 and replacing the one you have is probably a better solution in the long run. But that's up to the person who is choosing to do this. And I'm enjoying using Tdarr and having a wee play with it, because it is actually kind of nice that it can reach in over a mapped network drive to Synology and do it. And then you can actually install Tdarr on various different devices that you have, and utilize those cores in the processors. So if you have an old computer that maybe has another graphics card in it, you can turn it on and have Tdarr running on it. And then you can create a node over there that's going to work as well and start, re-encoding all the stuff that's on the Synology drive. So it's actually kind of an interesting way for someone to re-encode a drive, and they can use old, obsolete technology. And I'm thinking, my son's got a 1080 Ti graphics card in his computer. I can install Tdarr on that and run it while he's at school, and that'll just get through a wee bit more, and then have it sort of stop whenever he gets home at about 3 o'clock. That's an interesting idea. And I'll get through it all a lot quicker. And then every time you rip a Blu-ray disc, you just drop it into a folder, and then Tdarr can deal with it. It's like, oh, there you go, you've got this, and then you want me to put it where once I'm done with it? You want me to put it over here? Okay, I'll put it over there. And away it goes. It's a great service. I thoroughly recommend it, and thanks for the tipsters who put me onto it, because it's changed the way I do things. I'm no longer having to use Handbrake on a daily basis, and remembering to use Handbrake on a daily basis to do this, and it should save me a large amount of disk space in the long run. Have you ever heard of Tdarr there, old Tedley?
No, but I reckon that you've got to pronounce this. Ta-da!
Tdarr.
You got it. They obviously, put this file in here, we'll do this to it, and that will come out there. Ta-da!
Well, you see, the R part it's part of a larger family. You've got Prowler and Radar and Sonar and LiDAR. Okay. So the ARR actually stands for something.
That's the end of that theory then.
Far too nerdy for me to know what it was, but I remember reading it going, oh, right, okay, that's what the R thing is. I thought it was like pirates going, Darr, this is what we use to do our piracy, but it's not.
Yeah, that sounds great. Just run it in the background, or as you say, on a different machine even, and just have it all kind of ticking away in the background. And the fact that you can control it in terms of what resources it's taking up, if it is on your main machine, that's even better, isn't it? And what's even better still is that this is a GitHub thing, isn't it? So it's all free.
It is, yeah, and that's the beauty of it as well. And there's plugins as well. If you want to do something slightly different, say for example you want your audio to be in a particular codec, or you don't want it to do 264 to 265, you maybe want it to go backwards and make everything 264, because some people prefer that. Some media players prefer 264 over 265 and have a jolly old time of encoding 265. And I've heard people say that the particular Synology NAS that I have isn't particularly good at transcoding 265 over Plex to another device, but then that's only if you're transcoding. I don't know the last time I actually transcoded something with my NAS, but there's all kinds of plugins that you can play around with it and get it to do different things. I think you can get it to do purely audio stuff as well. If you're an audiophile, you want all your WAVs to be FLACs or something like that, you can go and do that, or re-encode things the way that you want them to be. You obviously can't increase the quality, but you can keep the quality pretty much the same.
Yeah. It's all very nerdy, isn't it? I was looking through the download page and looking at the pricing, because the basic version is free and it goes up and up and up, and the most expensive enterprise version is $6,500 a year.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And you'd have to kind of look at the list of stuff on the way up. There's one for $4.99 a month and one for £50 a year and blah blah blah, and you'd have to see what each of them do, wouldn't you? But I'm assuming you're just using the basic free one.
I am, yeah. I don't have any need to go anything above that, because it is entirely for home use. And it's just my little Blu-ray collection, because I don't want to have to go and use the discs every time.
Very good. Very good indeed.
Yeah, lovely little service. Highly recommend it. Right, marching on into the hardline for the hardware. We've got the first bit of information that we have to lay upon you, because we've got tons of news this week, so we're just going to sprint through it. And we'll start with the HyperX Cloud 3 wireless headset that has, 120 hours on a single charge. Does that include whenever you turn it on? Ted, tell us about this.
Well, the interesting thing here is, if you read the article, for a deep dive in it, they've got another product which does 300 hours on a battery. Yeah. Wow. So this is actually chicken feed. The version 2, the HyperX Cloud 2 did 30 hours on a charge. So this Cloud 3 has 4 times that. But they've got another product called the Alpha Wireless, the Cloud Alpha Wireless, 300 hours.
Wow.
What I didn't know was that HyperX is the gaming branch of HP, the HP company. So I didn't realise that. Well, or if I did, I'd forgotten. Yeah. Amazing. I'm not sure if the 120 hours. You see, those Marshall headphones, they did 80 hours on a charge, but these are kind of aimed at gaming, and so they're going to get a lot more hammer, I guess, than that. And they've also got a wand, whatever it's called, mouthpiece thingy as well. So clearly aimed at gaming.
Yeah, 300 hours on one charge. That really, I wonder how long it takes to charge, actually.
Yeah.
And what does it use for? It's got TTS headphone X spatial audio, upgraded 10mm detachable microphone with LED mute indicator. So it's not like it's getting rid of features. It's still got most of the features you would come to expect. So nice one, HP, if that's what it's going to actually do.
Unfortunately, it's not officially compatible with the Xbox Series SX. So it's a Nintendo and PlayStation thing.
Well, that's all right. Sure, Xbox is on its way out anyway. Next up is more on headphones, because Anker have a nice set of new, cheap, noise-cancelling headphones that are that do what Sony's don't and deliver lossless sound. Right, okay. Yes, I remember reading this earlier, or yesterday even. So Soundcore have the Space One headphones that are going to be really quite something to get excited about. And they're going to be priced quite nicely as well. I think it was about 90 quid or something like that for these. Am I right about that? And it's just going on the same design from the Q30s, Q35s, and Q40s.
Yeah, kind of. I borrowed a pair of these this week on release from Amazon, which I will be returning. And we'll find out later in Bargain Basement that they're cheaper than they were supposed to be. But they're okay. They're all right. They're ever so light. In terms of sound, comparing them with other Soundcore headphones, they're okay. They match them. I think the Q45 very similar, but they're very, very light, and they've also got Sony's on-off thingy in the left ear, so they've copied that. And when you take them off, they pause whatever you're listening to, and then you put them back on. Nice. It starts it up again. There's no smart controls hardly at all. There's a long press for the whatever assistant you're using, and there's an app, of course, which you can adjust everything in. I'm not particularly impressed with them, to be honest. I think for that kind of price, I think I'd rather pay a bit more for even a lesser good XM4, XM5 Sony unit, like the 720N or the 710N, which are probably sound better. I was watching Flossie Carter's review of these last night on YouTube, and he was kind of agreeing with me, really, is that they're, for the price, they're decent, they're good, but if you start comparing them with what else you can get for that money, or a bit more, then certainly the sound quality you can get a bit more. Comparing the active noise cancellation with my XM4s, it's nowhere near. I could still hear things when I had these on, whereas on the Sonys, if I turn them on, I can just hear nothing. It's so good and it's so well done. You also get no smart controls on the outside, but it's built to a price, isn't it? The Sonys were 279 quid on release, and these are under 100, and they're really, really light. They'll suit kids, I guess. Stocking fillers for wealthy people for Christmas, and they'll be absolutely fine. Just don't expect thundering bass and the same kind of quality as you get with Sonys or Bose or whatever else.
Yeah. Well, it's all about the price, and most people who are going out and they go, I want a decent pair of headphones. I'll maybe pay 50 quid, but they see something like this and they know it's comparable to a £300 pair of headphones, they'll gladly pick this up for 89 or whatever you manage to get it from on Amazon, and they'll be really happy with it.
Yeah, definitely. Particularly if you know what LDAC is and you turn it on, I have to admit that I turned it on from it being off by default, and I couldn't tell any difference.
Oh, right.
But then that's me and my wonky hearing probably. But younger ears will probably think, oh yes, LDAC is here, and it's under £100.
See, I still have my Q30s.
Yep.
I really like them. I use them with the TV in the bedroom, and I think they're absolutely flawless.
Yeah.
So I think whenever it comes to... Well, I think they're absolutely flawless in the fact that, yeah, I got what I paid for, and I have no complaints about them, but if I had to pay £300 for them, I'd be expecting a wee bit more.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what I like about the Sonys particularly is the controls on the outside. They've got touch controls on the outside of both cups, and you can basically do what you like with them. Change tracks, move, pause and play. And all the smarts with the Sonys just work beautifully well. And you might argue that the sound is kind of almost as good with Anker stuff and what have you, but... you put a pair of these Sonys on and you suddenly think, yeah, these are a serious bit of kit. A bit like the, no doubt, the Apple Max, whatever they're called, headphones. It's all, top-end stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, with a bit of lead added in just for that extra bit of weight.
Yes.
Corsair are releasing their first standing desk. Because some people like the idea of a standing desk. I don't. I like the idea of a sitting chair at a desk because it's more comfortable.
Yeah.
But for those who are determined to have nice glutes, I think is the term, and be able to run and jump and things like that, then yeah, this is for you. This is called the Platform 6, which is a good option, they say. With well, it looks to be quite big, and it adjusts to people's heights depending on how high they are. It's got an aluminium T-bar crossbar thing, aluminium T-channel crossbar, that's what it is, with side rails and a top-mounted rail as well. But there appears to be an extra desky type thing that you can attach or I suppose that's that top rail that you can attach your monitors to, and any lights and things, because they're showing I think it's an influencer with all kinds of lights pointed at her and a microphone and a camera. So, Ted, are you going to get one of these?
I tried to do standing desk way back, and I think I was too old at the time. I'm too knackered. I get really tired. My legs get too tired. So I'm the same as you. I want to sit down. But yeah, young people again, they'll probably be really liking this idea. The desk is completely motorized, apparently, in every kind of which way you fancy, and it's it comes with two monitor arms already on that bar on the top, 6 foot wide, which means you've got loads of room to move around. I do like that idea, having a really wide desk and being able to move around on it freely, because you're actually on your feet and not sitting down, and not with a wheeled seat that you're on. And yeah, it looks really nice. I good for them. And for those that can afford it, actually, I don't know what the price is. What's the price?
They don't say. They just said it's not going to be cheap.
Okay.
I suppose I could click through to Corsair's website and do it. Oh my word! That looks like the Tinkerer's desk from Fallout. Yes, it doesn't actually have a price there, but if you click through to their press release, there's a picture of one that's been fully customized with all kinds of stuff where you can put on extra bars and then extra panels and things.
Yeah.
The panels that you got from IKEA, they became really popular, so they must be pulling that kind of idea in so that you mount extra keyboards and headphones and things like that to them in the way that you would do a woodworking shop or whatever. But yeah, there's price and availability. There isn't a price yet, so they're free. Get one free from Corsair. Email them today and tell them Ted sent you.
Right, let's guess. I'm going to go with the base version of it. I'm going to go for $2,500.
Oh right, okay. I was going with like $499 for the base version.
It's all motorized. You got to take it into account.
But who'd pay that for a desk? Whenever you can go into IKEA and buy a desk for £200 will get you a decent enough desk.
An influencer who's packed with money.
I suppose, yes. Well, one thing that influencers probably won't be queuing up to buy is the little cheap Samsung Galaxy Tab A9, which is appearing in the wild. We've seen some images of it, and I had the A8 for a couple of weeks to review, and I quite liked it. It was somewhat underpowered compared to the Lenovo that I was comparing it against, but the A9 is bringing with it a 5000 milliamp hour battery, 15 watt charging, a single camera, 4 gigabytes of RAM, a Snapdragon 695 chipset with Adreno 619 graphics. So at least it's gone up to 4 gigabytes of RAM, because that was the one criticism I had of the A8, was that it had 3 gigabytes of RAM. The rascals. Yeah. Are you excited about this one?
And an audio, 3.5 millimeter audio outlet. It's funny how they put those in some and don't in others. They seem to be the cheaper ones that they, even in the phone world as well, that if you want a 3.5 millimeter, apart from with Sony, it's always the kind of lower end ones that's where you get that. There's also a 4G version of this by the looks of it. I think if I was going to buy a Galaxy tablet, I'd want to get the S series, because it just does everything. And I know that this is going to be an awful lot cheaper than that, but I think I probably want to save up my pennies and get the whole thing. It depends what you want. If you're just putting it on the coffee table and using it in front of the telly or whatever, casual browsing, then this would be absolutely fine. And I'm sure it has lots of things going for it.
Well, I think I'm actually going to have to. I'm hoping this comes out before Christmas, because I quite fancy one of these for my son for Christmas.
Right.
He's had a realization when it comes to tablets. He's got his Nokia T20.
Yep.
And then there's his mother's Samsung Galaxy Tab S6, and then I have the Tab S9, and they were sitting on the table in the kitchen, and he had a quick look at all of them. And he went in and he thought he'd have a look at Netflix on all of them. And he really, really wants a Samsung now, because it looks so much better. And he was looking at his Nokia going, it's got really bad graphics. I'm like, son, that's not graphics. Never mind. We're not getting into that. But, right. So he wants to upgrade to something better.
You better warn him that it won't be like an S series, though.
No.
There's nothing about the speakers. On the S series, we're used to having 4 speakers now, which sound fantastic. But I'm guessing, what was did the A8 have decent speakers?
It did, yeah. And if you look at the early image there's 2 speaker grills.
Okay.
I think someone just rang my doorbell.
Tell him to shove off. Go on. Give him a piece of your mind.
Who's that? Who the heck is that?
Yeah, go on, have a word. Lean out of the skylight.
No, it's probably someone collecting. Yeah, it could be the Truca person. All right, moving on. We've got the Lenovo's new intelligent voice mouse, which they have compared to the Logitech MX Master 3. No, I've got one right here with a bit of chocolate actually stuck in the box.
I didn't know that you could get have you ever seen this before? I don't think I've ever seen this. But there's a button on the side of the mouse where you can just use it for your Google Assistant or whatever, and when you press and hold it, you can talk to your computer. Aidan Bell would love this.
I've got one in my car.
What, a mouse?
I've got one of those in my kitchen, actually. But no, I've got a button on my car where I can do that.
Oh, I see,
I never thought about putting it on my mouse.
No, it's odd, isn't it? What a thing to do.
And if you hook it up to Windows 10 and press it, would it then jump into Cortana?
No, because Cortana's been dropped, isn't it? It's away.
Or it would bring up Bing, would it not?
Yeah, something
Bing
like
with
that.
AI.
Bing AI, that's right. Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure that Lenovo will have lots of kind of setup stuff going, but I don't think Logitech have got an equivalent of this, have they? Oh, they probably will have soon, won't they? Now that Lenovo have got one, but It's really interesting. This story is actually about the fact that this has got a Red Dot Design Award. So obviously someone likes it.
It's got a red dot on it because the DPI button is red.
Oh, well, it's a Lenovo, isn't it? Ah, well, you see, it's your ThinkPad, isn't it?
Fair point. No, it's a fairly decent looking mouse, but it's lacking in all other features. There's a search button and there's a voice button, where the back and forward buttons are on the comparable Logitech MX Master 3.
Yeah.
Nah, I think I'll stick my Logitech.
Oh. I just pressed I've forgotten about the side buttons on my mouse, and I just pressed one and it didn't go back. And it's supposed to go back.
Okay.
So I'm in Chrome.
Set up to do something else.
Oh, okay. So I haven't set it up properly. Fair enough. I forget all about those buttons on the side. Right, carry on.
They are what you need. They're the gods working. Those buttons, back and forward, and then I've got a roly button above mine. You've got the MX Master 3, don't you?
No, the 2S. I love the killer feature for me is the endlessly scrolling mouse thingy. You just flick it down and it rolls the screen. I just use that all the time. And when I have to use a basic mouse now, I hate it because you've got to keep scrolling your finger to get the page down. Yeah.
Well, you can click it and then you can bring your mouse down. That's what I do with the one in work, which has absolutely no features at all. But I've got a roly button on the MX Master 3, and it cycles between your tabs on Chrome. It's great.
Right. Yeah.
I can't do without that now either. Okay, Sony. Since we were last on air, Sony have launched a number of things, and one of them is getting some fairly negative press. Can you guess what it is, Ted?
I reckon it might be this whole Pulse thing. I saw Martin on the Friday checkout slagging this off and saying, what's the point? But because I'm not such a gamer as you, I probably don't understand why. It certainly, this headset certainly looks really premium and expensive and stuff. But I don't know, what's the story here?
Well, we called it the PlayStation Q for the last number of months, but the PlayStation Portal, not Portable, Portal, has been launched. I don't know why I'm explaining this to people. I'm sure they already know because they're wired in elsewhere, and we do a bi-weekly show, which is rubbish. The PlayStation Portal is this little wireless portal that allows you to play the PlayStation 5 titles. It does not contain any sort of specifications inside of it that make it a Nintendo Switch-like or Steam Deck type console. It purely acts as a remote interface to be able to stream the PlayStation 5 over to the device. And people are saying, what the hell's the point in that? You can't leave the house with it and get on the bus and go and play your PlayStation 5 games on the go because it doesn't have all the power inside it like the PlayStation 5 does. For some reason, people out there were thinking that Sony were going to do a portable PlayStation 5. And that just defies all logic. What a load of nonsense that anyone could do. What they have done is come up with an ingenious solution to many parents' problems around the world, in that I have a PlayStation 5 in my living room. My son loves to play, well, he's starting to get into No Man's Sky, but he likes to play, say, Minecraft or Overcooked or something like that with his little pals who are on their PlayStation 5 gang. And I want to sit down on a Saturday night and watch a movie. So I need him to get out of the room, and there's no way I'm taking the PlayStation 5 and going upstairs and hooking it up to his TV in his bedroom or anything like that. It's going to stay in the living room where it is. So we needed something else. So they've done this PlayStation Portal, which I will be purchasing as soon as it comes along. And he'll be able to sit up in his bedroom and play the PlayStation 5 without bothering me as I'm trying to sit down on a Saturday night, enjoy a glass of wine and watch a movie. Brilliant. Thank you, Sony, for doing that. You're amongst friends here. But what they also did do was the bad thing, which was this PlayStation Portal will only connect to a particular type of headset. Now, it does have a 3.5mm audio jack, and it's not exactly clear as to whether or not that means you can just plonk in any old pair of headphones. But if you want to achieve a wireless link, you can't use the current range of Bluetooth headphones or the ones that you might already own for your PlayStation 5. You have to now buy these new Sony Pulse Elite editions, or the Pulse Explorer. And they do look like very nice headsets, don't get me wrong. But they are specifically designed to work with this and only this, and vice versa.
Shocking.
Yeah. Hopefully it's something that they will go, right, okay. And then they will open it up, because I'm sure the device does have Bluetooth in there, or this is a type of Bluetooth that's locked down in the way that Apple used to do it years ago. But they say that this is going to be a flawless experience and have AI-enhanced noise rejection and all that kind of stuff built into it, which would be nice. But you're going to have to pay almost as much as what the console is, or what the Portal is, in order to get the bigger, better ones, which is the Pulse Explorer. I think no, the Elite's the big over-ear ones, and then the Explorer are the little wireless in-ear ones.
Right.
Did that make sense?
Yeah, I think so. It's also got a talking prong as well, hasn't it? Which I thought I read somewhere.
Microphone.
A microphone, yeah. I thought that I read somewhere that it extends and comes out. Did I read that somewhere? It's not just sits there. It moves and comes round in front of your gob. Perhaps I dreamt that.
It might do. I don't see that it absolutely needs to. I think it sits out a wee bit, and then the way that the microphone's positioned will pick up your mouth anyway, unless you're Desperate Dan and have this big jaw that sticks out in further than it would do.
Yeah, perhaps I dreamt that. But yeah, as usual with Sony, stuff is pretty expensive, and they just go their own way and try and lock everyone in, don't they? And then EU ban them, and they have to unpick it all.
Yeah. No, I'm quite happy with what Sony did here, and I think it's absolutely absurd that people were actually expecting them to make a portable version of the PlayStation 5. Yeah, you could say that whenever the PSP came along, it was like a portable version of the PlayStation 1. Whenever the PlayStation 2 was doing all the rage, and then the Vita was the portable PlayStation 2, while the PlayStation 3 was all the rage. And we're not quite getting that now, and this could have been a portable version of the PlayStation 4. But no, I think they've come up with a great little solution for a certain collective of people, and I reckon it'll sell well for those parents who've been going, I want my TV back. And it's priced really nicely that I will be more than happy to purchase one of these to get my TV back on a Saturday night without wailing and moaning and crying.
And slapping.
Oh, well, I wouldn't say that. He never slaps me.
Very good. That should have been in the name of the game, I reckon.
The name of the game?
That's a section of our show. Try and keep up.
True. But I suppose the Sony PlayStation 5 isn't just a gaming machine. It is also so much else. It runs Netflix and stuff like that. So you can stream Netflix to this too.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if you can stream a Blu-ray or 4K. If there's one in the drive. I don't know. I'll test it out when I buy one.
Yay.
All right, next up is Geekum territory, where you can tell us about the new Geekum 13th generation Core i9 processor rockin' version.
The one I should have waited for before I leapt in and saved money. And
I could always send it back, couldn't you?
I could. Can I? Is it too late now? I knew that this event was coming up when I bought the other one. I did, but I was in the game of saving money, and to be fair, this is going to cost an awful lot more. $789 for the Core i9 version of the new Geekom 13, the IT 13. Which is an update to the 12, obviously, and 64 gigabytes of RAM as standard, It's also got, more slots and more blah, 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 faster, a better chipset if you want to pay for it. So you can get an i5 version or an i7 version for less money. But the news for Geekom is that it's their first with an i9. And I've no doubt at all it flies. My question will be, though, which is the same as the question I had before, is how noisy it is and whether they capped the fan coming on when it's under load and someone is mistakenly thinking that they can use it for gaming without a proper graphics card and all the rest of it, as we've been talking about during the week. It still is not kind of making too much noise. But hopefully they've thought about that. Incidentally, the top of the range one, which has got 32 gigs of RAM, not 64, you can put 64 in it, but it comes with 32, has also got a 2 terabyte SSD on board, which is really nice. But yeah, the price of these so-called cheap mini PCs is going up. 750 quid this will be.
Yeah, that's quite a lot of money for not too much in the way of expandability. Being a I think if you were to take that money and actually put that into building your own computer, you could build something similar that has better future-proofing.
Yep.
But I understand the desire for something like this and the need for something like this in today's society. So I wish them all the best. I personally wouldn't have one unless I maybe install Tdarr on it and get the processing in the background. But Ted, this works for you.
It's quite nice to be able to pick it up and go, and the security aspect. And if you're set up with a monitor somewhere else, then you can take your whole world with you, sort of thing. It works for me in my situation, but I'm not sure how broadly it'll work for other people. There are an awful lot of people out there that don't do heavy gaming, that are just doing productivity stuff from home and working from home and working on spreadsheets and just being online. And this is basically for someone that doesn't want the restriction of a laptop-sized screen, but wants a big screen like I've got, and enjoys that. Incidentally, a Molto is still going, and it's 2 hours in. Hurrah! No, the podcast is not 2 hours in. That recording's 2 hours in.
Well, it's funny you should say that, because my Molto doesn't exist. It's not here. It's gone.
Oh, something about that, isn't there? You better get back onto him.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. Right. Well, actually, I would hesitate to say that this might be targeted more obviously at businesses, because this is the kind of thing that they want on the desk of businesses, because it frees up desk space. And you have this and a screen, and it's easy enough just to swap these out and put them in, and you can buy them in bulk and kit out your entire operation with these. And I do say that whenever those sorts of things happen, you get... I have a family member who used to have the contract for the local government, and he made an absolute fortune overselling crap specs. And you can make an awful lot of money selling these sorts of things to a big company. So they're priced for that, for the fact that the company probably doesn't quite understand the specifications, and they're not going to sit down and nitpick through the specs to get best value for money. They'll just be able to go, I need 1,000 of these to put into my building over there, which has 1,000 workers, please. And they will go, here you go, and throw them all in, and they're all set up and ready to go. And they can just get rid of them, and there's a lot less e-waste than you used to have whenever, say, Compaq were doing all these big metal hunks of junk that were put in with crap specifications into the government by my family member, and then whenever they were all taken away, he put them in his garage. And hundreds of them stacked up in his garage, and not knowing what to do with them. I think he sold his house with them in his garage. But I understand the need for these and how good they could be for local businesses, and the local councils and things, and job centres all over the country would have these in there, and they can just be taken out and replaced as needed.
Yeah.
Okie dokie. I don't know where I was going with that, but I got distracted. So, Galaxy S7 owners can rejoice, because One UI 5.1.1 has arrived on their tablets. In it, the greatest, Ted, you've got it in your S8.
It did arrive on my S8, and it's not mind-blowingly, eye-poppingly amazing, but there are some interesting additions to the layout for and this is the 5.1.1 has been specifically targeted at Samsung's folding phones and tablets, because the changes are about the landscape orientation and the unfolding. For example, having a more functional taskbar at the bottom of the screen, which wouldn't really be much use on a candy bar phone. And they've made additional icons down the bottom there, and there are other changes as well. But it's all it's all a bit kind of something and nothing in a sense. I think everyone's really waiting for the whole One UI 6 thing, and the UI changes that's going to bring, which is now out in beta on some of the S23 devices, rather than this 5.1.1. But yeah, it's nice to see them keeping up to date, and it makes you feel almost like you're in the Pixel world, really, with Samsung, because they're doing a kind of Google, really, with their stuff now, and they're pushing stuff out and trying it out and testing it and giving almost what almost feels like early access to people like us who want to play about with things. There's also this thing that you can drag and drop with two fingers, which I was playing with yesterday, and that works okay. So if you want to, for example, if you want to move a desktop icon, you press and hold it and wiggle it about, and then with your other finger, or with your thumb if you want to, or whatever, you move the background, and you can then drop it where so the background becomes separated from the icon you're touching. And that's worked really well. It also works really well, the same feature. If for example, if you want to send someone a photograph in an email, you can go to your photographs, long press one of the thumbnails, and then with your other finger, open up Gmail, and then compose an email, and then drop it in as an attachment. And that all works really, really well. So those kinds of, nice finishing touch features are coming, and I'm looking forward to what Samsung bring further.
Yeah, they really are trying to it's little things like that are quite nice. You don't know when you're going to need to use them, and you maybe only need to use them once. But it's there whenever you need to use it. But you need to know it's there, otherwise you find out afterwards and go, nuts, I could have done that.
Yeah, which I do all the time with Samsung. I learned a few things last night. I was watching a YouTube video about One UI and Good Lock, and I found out 2 or 3 things that I had no idea were there. And oh yeah, look at that! I can do that.
Yeah,
it's a playground.
Do that?
Well, yeah, certainly one of them that I discovered I would do regularly and use regularly. And they've made changes to the way in which you can change the lock screen clock, for example. And theming and stuff is just it's a playground, and you can just get really lost in that. And I applaud Samsung for that. I think that's really good.
Yeah, I'm just having a look at some of the little GIFs that are in the article there on Sam Mobile as well, just to educate people on the way you can do things. That's quite a nice way to show it, actually. Okie dokie. Khandas, Khadas, are doing a Mind portable workstation, and this is the latest in their series of Mind portable workstations, and the most ambitious one they've had to date, because it has there's a couple of different things that you can add into it. You can have a docking station that you attach it to that has different functionality. There's a big one that does graphics, and then there's a small one that's designed for productivity. And there's a tablet-based thing as well, so you just basically have like a mini PC that you take with you, and you plug into various docking stations where you go. The miniature or the standard docking station could be in work, and then at home you could have a graphics docking station where you might play a game or whatever, or do some CAD, and then the tablet can you can hook it up to the tablet and show your designs to people. It's a good-looking device that has lots of ports and possibilities. But Ted, this is the kind of thing that you're really getting into bed with, aren't you?
Well, yeah, because I've got into this kind of whole Geekom thing, and the reason this caught my eye really was because of the docking station. That is the main thing, and I do wish that my Geekom had a docking station, so you didn't have to. When I take it away, I don't have to unplug. How many plugs? About 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 7 plugs I think I've got plugged into it, and each one of those has to be undone and put back in. Now, if I had a docking station like this, that would just be brilliant. But apart from that, yeah, this is basically a Geekom. It's a Geekom which is kind of beautifully made and looks like it's very much stylishly designed and created, and it looks almost like an Apple kind of style product. But yeah, the USP for me, the only reason that I would want to be interested in this is because of that dock. And Geekom, give me a dock.
Well, it is a good-looking dock. It's got a volume knob on one side of it, and then at the front it's got an SD card reader, a 3.5mm headphone jack, and a USB-A.
And a fingerprint scanner.
Oh, yes, that's on the left-hand side, opposite where the volume knob is. Then on the back there's an Ethernet and 2 HDMIs, 2 USBs and a USB Type-C. So it does have quite a bit going on, so you'll be able to get quite a bit out of it and take it and go. But I was particularly interested by that tablet idea. It's in the video. I don't see it actually mentioned in this article on the Gadgeteer, but you clamp it onto the back of a dumb screen and it suddenly becomes an all-singing, all-dancing powerful computer. Yeah. So what processor's in it?
It's an i7. The specifications are the specifications are comparable, I think, with the Geekom, and it's slimmer and less, sizable. But when I say that I'd like a docking station for my Geekom, I'd need 2, so they would have to sell them separately because I've got basically 2 bases where I might like to be. And in order for this to be working well and seamlessly, you want to just pick up one and then plonk it down in the other one. But you could, I suppose, at the other end, start plugging stuff into it. But yeah, I'll have one of these with 3 bases included.
The problem is with the bases is that they are designed around the PCIe 5.0 connection, but it's actually a proprietary connection that they have made themselves in-house. So it is something that might change from year to year. If they were to, this is the Mind 3, is it, or 4? So they've had ones in the past, and this is now a different connector to ones that they did last year or before. So they might change that again, and you might end up with a couple of docks that you can't actually use anymore.
Yeah.
But in saying that, the PCIe 5.0 is ridiculously fast. That you'll be good for about 10 years maybe before you really have to think about getting rid of that.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. So because we're so beautifully organised whenever it comes to these show notes, we're going back to Samsung with the One UI watch, which is no wait, hang on. Yes, Wear OS 5. The new version of Wear OS is coming to it's coming to the Galaxy Watch 5, but also the 6 and the 4 are going to get it because the 6 has got it already with One UI Watch 5, which is the overlay on Android Wear. Oh,
right.
Ted, do you want to introduce this one?
Wear OS 4 is what it's all about. And that's being rolled out to, presumably it's coming to Pixel watches, with the Pixel 2 coming up in October. But Samsung, again, ahead of the game, are already rolling it out to their existing hardware. And as you say, it's already in the 6. Now, to be honest, the refinements, the changes involved in this are stuff that I'm not going to use anyway. Like stuff like sleep tracking and personalised heart rate zones and blah 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 blah, and it's all this kind of I'm sure many people that are not like unfit people like me will be saying, "Oh yeah, that's great, we need that," and they'll dance off into the moonlight, thinking, "Yeah, my watch is great now." But but yeah, to me the changes are quite small. The one thing that I want this to bring, which they said there's no mention of it here, but what they said they might be doing is to prevent people from having to factory reset it every time you change a phone. Now I know that most people have one phone and they stick to their phone and it's not an issue, but apparently according to Google that should have been rolling out in Wear OS 4, and I'm hoping to see that, so that every time I change my phone, bloomin' factory reset the bloomin' watch again.
Oh, blimey. Right, okay. Well, at least they're putting it out to the older models as well. They're not ignoring it.
Yes, good.
Yeah. No. I think my wife has a 5, so she's never mentioned that she's got an update yet.
No.
So she mustn't have got it yet.
Or she hasn't checked.
That's possible, yeah. But I will have to check with her after this. Okay, Google have announced that October 4th is going to be their date for their big launch event for the Pixel 8 and the Pixel Watch 2, hopefully. So all eyes will be on Google it's in New York, isn't it? Down on the docks.
Yeah.
That big conference centre there that used to be beside where we used to dock in the QE2.
Yeah.
So, is there anything we should expect, or is it just the Pixel 8, Pixel 8 Pro, and some watches?
Well, leaping down in the show notes to our phone section, our newly formed phone section to stop people complaining, there is talk about the fact that in the Pixel 8 they might be ditching the physical SIM card, but I can't imagine they're going to do that worldwide. They're going to do an Apple on that. If they do that, it'll be America only, and they'll just there'll be two models essentially, which is I don't support this at all, but I do understand that that's the way it's going, and we'll have to get used to it. And the other thing that was notable, I think, is that they're talking about the possibility of the Pixel 8 getting iPhone-like software support. So no one's actually saying quite what that means, but the inference, I think, is that instead of saying you get 3 versions of the OS and 5 years of security updates, they'll do an Apple and they'll just say, we're not telling you what you get. We'll just roll it out when we want to, and if you don't get it, you don't get it. And if you do, you do. And you can trust us going forward to support your device as long as we possibly can. And let everyone else in China fight about arguing about length of support, and let Samsung hold that banner, and we're just going to do an Apple on you. So there is that. There's also the fact that the renders that we've seen about the Pixel 8, in my view, if they're true, these renders, that the thing on the back, the camera thingy on the back, the lump, is even bigger than it was before. I mean, the 6 and the 7 were bad enough, in my view. I just don't like that whole design. I really don't. I think it's crap. And it looks from that render as if it's even worse, even bigger. So, boo.
Yeah. No, I remain on the fence about it. I've had a good time and a bad time with it. Doesn't really bother me that much. And if they were to make it bigger, I'm okay with that. I think the case is something that comes into effect as well. But carrying on with Google news, Google Chrome apparently has taken over the world, it would appear. The adoption rate of it in 2023 is off the charts. It would seem that it's over 50% in all of the continents, with North America having 53.1%, which is it's not, Oceania, which is down in Australia, is 52.2%, but then a large amount of them don't have computers out there in the outback. Or even internet, come to think of it, and Disney Plus pulling out of doing DVDs and things like that down there is an atrocity, because that means they don't have any movies at all. Asia is 72.2%. Africa is 71.5%, South America is 78.9%, and then good old Europe is 58.6%. It would seem that Safari is not in a close second, but it is second in all of those areas, and Edge is quite poor in most places, but it's actually got quite a wedge to it in North America. So there are a lot of Edge users in North America, but then it could really be counted as part of Chrome, couldn't it?
I don't think in this study it is, but I take your point. It's based on the Chromium engine, isn't it? The interesting thing about this diagram to me was that you can see very clearly the bits where people have got money. The people that have got money are using Safari because they can afford iPhones and Mac stuff, and it's clearly in North America, in Europe, in Australia, to some degree in Asia, but there's a big holdout in Australia for Chrome as well. But all the other places that where people are poor, there's not so much money. South America is the biggest chunk of all of people using Chrome, and the Safari is the smallest one. Africa is the same. Huge amount of Chrome, very little Safari. And I think, to me, this says more about people's wealth and who can afford to buy expensive Apple hardware, and where people can afford to do that, the people using Safari have got bigger chunks of the pie. But yeah, Chrome is obviously very dominant everywhere.
And it is worth mentioning that it is across all platforms, which is desktop, tablet, and mobile. It's not just desktop based, where something like, I'd say, Firefox and Edge in the UK, people don't really use those on mobile at all. And then whenever it comes to you've got all those other ones like Opera and Brave and those sorts of things, which do occupy, when you have a look at places like Africa would have a big wedge of other, so that they are using quite a lot of those other things, more so than Firefox, Edge, and Safari. So it's the free internet downloads that they can get.
Yeah, if you scroll down to the related infographics down the bottom, the top left-hand corner one is interesting. There's a graph of the change between 2009 and 2013, and you can see very clearly from that how the rise of Chrome has just taken everything by storm, and all the other players are much lower down. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It's all changed. Well, it's not really all changing. Chrome will just continue to dominate, and now that they've got Lacros as well, which we will be talking about later on, it'll continue to dominate, I suppose.
Yes, indeed.
So, moving into this newly formed phone zone, we'll call it the phone zone, will we?
Yeah, why not? Phone zone, very good. I'll change it now. Phone zone. There you go.
Great, and we'll try to remember to refer to it as that in the future. We're going to start with Oppo, because there's a couple of stories about Oppo, one of which you've identified here, but I wanted to have a wee chat about Oppo for something that happened during the week. The Oppo Find N3 Flip is adding a telephoto camera to it, and the outer display apps will work on that as well. It's launching globally soon, they say. It's a good-looking little device, this. That pink is actually quite nice looking, to be honest. But the big camera module on it will obviously have people turning their heads and probably not liking it terribly much, because it's quite dominant on the cover there, and it looks a wee bit messy beside the screen. What do you think?
Yeah, this is the first flip device, or any folding device, I think, that's got an optical zoom on it. It's a 2x zoom, and I guess that you see the flip. The N2 flip had 2 camera lenses on the back, and they've amalgamated it all into one little island, or big island if you like to think of it that way, which is also quite sticky outy. And because of that, they've not been able to make the screen as big as they have on the Motorola Razr and the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 5. But they have said that there is a greater array, not as many as the Razr, but a greater array than Samsung have put on the outside display in terms of accessing apps, which are ordinary apps. It's not locked down like the Flip 5 version to what Samsung are doing with the UI. So yeah, interesting to see, and also whether or not it ever actually does get a global launch, because this is all at the moment China only. There's nothing been said about global. We're assuming it'll come, but who knows?
Yeah. Well, the global thing is the interesting part here, because I was talking to one of the girls I work with during the week, and she was telling me what she wanted from a phone, and she was having terrible battery problems with her current phone, and it was only lasting a certain amount of time because the battery was wrecked. And she just wanted to be able to plug in and charge her phone really quickly and then be able to use it all day. And I mentioned, Oppo do the SuperVOOC thing, and you can plug it in, and within, half an hour, whilst you maybe have a shower or something like that, you can charge your phone up to 100% and then be done with it and use it all day. So she marched off to the local Vodafone shop and said, I would like to upgrade my phone to an Oppo. And they said, well, we're actually just taking all the posters down and we're getting rid of our stock of Oppos now. We're not doing them anymore. And she went, oh, why is that? And they went, I don't know. I'm not sure at all. They're gone. They're pulling out of the UK. And this was news to me. And I went and had a look across a myriad of different websites to see if I could find some Oppo deals and things, be it Vodafone or EE. And you can find some, but it just seems that might be the last stock that they have. And I was thinking that perhaps, maybe due to the whole Nokia debacle that they had a couple of weeks ago, perhaps they are having to pull out of the UK, or perhaps they are just staying in Europe, but they're done with the UK because of trade problems.
You would think that story would have hit the tech press, though, wouldn't you?
Yeah. I'm just a bit confused by that, and I was like, whenever she told me that, I thought, nah, he's probably just going, we don't have any in stock, so why don't you buy one of these, because Oppo don't exist anymore. Here's a big Samsung S23, you'll pay lots of money for that, please. But no, it was quite difficult to find. Even somewhere like PC World or Curry's, which had stocked Oppo in the past, they didn't work. And Oppo's UK website has a list of places where to buy, and I clicked through each one of them, and I found it increasingly difficult to find a decent model. I did find, one cheap one here and the odd model there on various websites across the way, but they were. It was, you can't go out and get one on contract today if you fancy.
Right.
Which is...
You heard it here first.
Hot
breaking news from Tech Addicts.
From my work colleague.
Yes.
So we'll see going forward. Yeah, and they were taking signs down from Oppo in the Vodafone store while she was there.
Right.
Bizarre. So let's see this unfold.
Talking of which,
one thing we can also unfold is the Techno Phantom, the ultimate rollable smartphone, which is rollable, not folding. Shit.
Yeah, the link wasn't quite watertight.
No, but then if I had said, let's see this unravel, I could have used Can we start the podcast again? I'll write that down. Right, yes, the Techno Phantom Ultimate is, well, I suppose it's a concept phone, but it might be one of the first rollable phones that we see arriving, and it does seem to go this way. I remember when the folding phone was becoming a thing, and there was it the Crown Royale or something was the first one to make it to market. So it was a company that you hadn't really heard of before, but now we've got the Techno Phantom Ultimate, Ted, tell us what you learned about the Techno Phantom Ultimate.
I haven't learned anything really. There's a link in the show notes to a YouTube video which demonstrates where it's what they're doing with it, but it doesn't look any different really from what other concepts we've seen from Samsung and from Motorola, and somewhere around the corner any minute. Whether it be Techno or Oppo around the corner, very good. Whether it be Techno or Oppo or Samsung or whoever it is, Motorola, that clearly on the horizon somewhere there is this rollable thing is going to happen, and it's just a question of who gets there first. It might well be this one, and it does look, obviously they've made the video look absolutely gorgeous as they would, and very appealing.
Well, doing a quick bit of searching just to see if I could find a little bit more information on it, drew me into Android Police's article, Techno's Ultimate, or Phantom Ultimate concept phone is the fake rollable of your dreams. And this is a rollable smartphone with a 7.11-inch OLED panel that extends outwards. And it's with a faster extension time and a slim 9.93mm chassis. Techno aims to set the stage for future rollable technology in the industry. So they're calling it out as fake.
Yeah.
But they don't really address why in the article.
I think that they staged it as a concept. It wasn't ever said that this is being made right now. It was. It's just an idea for the future. Interesting to see how it evolves. The same was.
But ReviewPlus.com have given it a whopping 8.8 out of 10, saying that the design is 9 out of 10, the performance is 8 out of 10, the camera is 9 out of 10, the battery is 9 out of 10, and the extra features are 9 out of 10.
And it's being made.
Weighs 185 grams.
We've got one.
Apparently they do, because they're able to give an entire specification breakdown of everything that's in there. And an opinion. Oh, it doesn't have an FM radio.
I'll tell you what does exist, though, and something we've been tracking for a while, is this whole Next Paper thing from TCL. And that, I think, is... even though the TCL the phone has been now unveiled, which is the what's it called, the TCL 40 Next Paper, it's not. This is not a flagship. It's a low end phone. In fact, the specifications we would kind of look at and think, don't want to buy that particularly. But it's $200, and the screen is a colour Next Paper screen, which means it's got that technology we were talking about before on the tablets that they put out. And I think that for $200, this would be worth a try. It even comes with a T pen, they're calling it, not an S pen. Samsung, don't sue them. It's a T pen. And the baseline specs are kind of okay. It's just fairly low end. But I would love to see that. And also, I noticed that in this article we're linking to at GSM Arena, there's no mention at all of how long the battery will last. To me, that's what this is all about. That like the back of the Yota phone, that's what this is all about. But in this case, it's colour, and it's this new display, and I want this to last days on end on the battery. And for $200, I think it's very affordable, and there's no reason why it couldn't actually take off and do well. 180 quid, in fact. They're quoting it in pounds as well.
Yeah, it sounds quite interesting, but if you scroll down to the reader comments, there's one fella or person, it might be a person, called Car B, who says, "Hello, talk about it, a scam," which is exaggerated. The Next Paper technology is not only software or just a screen protector stick on the screen when you check the reviews of the previous tablet. It doesn't make sense, that sentence. I did read it correctly. Also, it's not comparable with standard eye care mode that ... So it doesn't really make any sense, anything that was put in there. But they're calling this out as a scam, and it must be some sort of stick-on screen.
Well, GSM Arena are disagreeing, and they've kind of quoted all the specs. There's a specs page for it, and at IFA 2023 in Berlin this week, They've launched these at TCL and they're available, so it's not a scam. It's happening, and I actually like the look of this for that price with this specification. All right, the screen's an LCD. It's not like an e-ink display like a Kindle, but they've got this technology that is supposed to make batteries last much longer, and it's also easier on your eyes. So, yep, I quite like the look of this, and at that price, I think I'm get one in and review it.
Why not? We look forward to that then.
Yeah.
Okay, Asus are saying that the Zen... This story changed hands, actually, quite recently. I think I read it earlier on today as the other way around. But Asus says that the Zenfone 10 won't be the end of the series and has a strong commitment to smartphones. I would love to see the sales figures for the Zenfone. Whilst they are really good looking phones, I can't imagine anyone who would buy one, because I don't think that the support will be there, and I think there's better models on the market that your money would be better spent on. I've always thought I'd love one.
Our good friend Adrian Brain, friend of the show, he has bought a Zenfone 8 and 9. I don't think he got the 10 in the end, but he was a big fan. And yes, one of his complaints has been through all of that is that the Asus are just not supporting the devices going forward with OS updates. Or I think he said that you get two OS updates, but security drops off pretty quickly, which is a shame.
Yeah, but they're not exactly the most expensive phones in the world, and they are targeted more so at... Oh, that's the ROG phone I'm thinking of.
No, these are the dinky ones, the little, the miniature.
But they're a good-looking phone, and they've been going quite strong for the last 10 generations, obviously. But it was rumoured that earlier in the week they were ditching the Zenfone, but now they've come back and said, no! We would like to address the rumour that the Asus Zenfone will be the last generation of sales and the Asus Zenfone product line will be shut down. This is not true, they proclaimed from on top of a mountain in Switzerland. We will continue our two main phone business product lines, the ROG phone and the Zenfone. So yeah, you heard it there. That was Asus. That was me playing a tape recording of them out in the Alps. At Pyrenees, something like that. A mountain range.
Now, two phones we covered on PSC last night, so we won't dwell on it. Is the IFA announced Sony Xperia 5 Mark V, which has no surprises except they've taken away the LED notification light, which is really annoying. But everything else was expected. The more exciting news, I think, was the Fairphone 5, which we had a long talk about that. So tune into our podcast, PSC, from last night, if you want to hear about that. And we're really quite excited about that. They're offering 10 years, potentially, of updates, 5 OS updates, and more user replaceable parts than ever before, and we all like the whole idea of that. So yeah, tune in and listen. Did you have a listen to that?
I haven't yet. No, I've got it queued up for my drive to work in the morning. Oh my goodness, my car's being serviced tomorrow.
Oh my word!
Oh pants! Right, okay, have to work that out this afternoon. Yes, that's as long as the company survives 10 years.
Yeah,
isn't it? Yeah, all right, grand.
Indeed.
Okay, look forward to seeing. I'll buy one in 10 years. Next up is the name of the game, where we're going to start with something that we've kind of seen before on several occasions. This is the new Atari 2600. It's a retro games console that's been unveiled. It looks just like the old Woody console from way back in 1980, and will allow you to play new old games. Old games. It comes with a cartridge that has 10 games in one, and you plug it in, and then you can plug this into your HDMI on the back of your television and relive those classic memories that you loved so well when you played your Atari 2600. The problem I have with this is that, yes, it's lovely to hark back to that old machine, but then they did the Atari flashback consoles, a number of those, and then there's many other consoles that you can buy now that actually have a larger collection of games in them, and this has 10 games in one that comes with it for the price of £100. That's not a lot of games that you get out of the gate, and then you have to buy extra cartridges, much like you do with Evercade. But if you look at Evercade, you've already got a number of different Atari collections that you can get on Evercade and hook it up to the computer or to a screen and play it that way, and it works out an awful lot cheaper. I think this is too little, too late. It's a nice idea that they've replicated the old console, but I don't know that I would be in any way inclined to throw money at this because Evercade has done it so well. What do you think, Ted?
Yeah. I think it'll be nostalgic. The people that will buy this will be the people that had one of these and loved it, and a bit like me with the Game Boy. If suddenly someone bought out a Game Boy, I'd be all over it because that goes back to where I was with gaming, and somebody that had this and loved using that joystick, which presumably comes with it, would just be all over it, wouldn't they? And that's who they're aiming for.
Well, yes. Everything does seem to be stupidly overpriced. Having a look at the current lineup of stuff that you can buy for this, there is the CX30 paddle controller with a 4-in-1 multi-game cartridge that costs £30. You can buy the joystick on its own for £20. Additional launch titles will include cartridges for Berserk Enhanced Edition and Mr. Run and Jump, which will be priced at £25. I'm not going out and paying £25 for an Atari cartridge. No, thanks. Well, the one thing I always meant to have a quick check to see if old cartridges will be compatible. So if you do have some knocking around, or you're an enthusiast who's been collecting Atari cartridges, will you be able to play them? I don't see that information in this article, but when I saw the launch trailer of this, I instantly thought that, and it didn't show it as to whether or not you could plug in your old games, or do you have to go and buy completely new cartridges. Well, I'll try and work that out for next time, because I've only just remembered about that question that I asked myself last week.
We'll look forward to it with bated breath.
Yes. And Ted, I've got a funny feeling that you're going to get all excited and gooey over the announcement of Super Mario Brothers Wonder.
Yay!
The return of the two-dimensional Mario Brothers to Nintendo Switch.
You know, I'm almost tempted to pay the £49.99 they want for this. We spoke about this a while back, that it's coming, and it's a return to 2D platform gaming, which I like, but they've tarted it up. I linked to a YouTube video that does a kind of 2.5-minute rundown of how it looks and what it does, and to me that is just wonderful. It's just like the old 2D graphics that I loved from the Super NES and the Game Boy, if you like, but it's turned it in. It's all been recoded and reworked, and it looks gorgeous. But it's not in 3D. It's all still in 2D. And I'll be all over this, and I'll find it very hard when it arrives in October to not cough up my £50. Frankly, I really like the look of this.
Well, I think that's your only choice. I don't think the Nintendo titles actually get a significant price reduction at any point.
No.
If you go back in and look for something like Zelda Breath of the Wild, you'll still be paying the original price for it.
Yeah.
Maybe at Christmas you might get 10% off or something like that, but
yeah,
you'll be coughing up a load of money for this. And it really irks me because I've bought a number of different properties over the years for my children, and they've remained largely unplayed. Because I think whenever it comes to these 2D ones, it's different now with gaming because it holds your hands a lot more. If you go back and give them the original Super Mario Brothers with, 3 lives you got? And then
5.
expect them to try and... 5 lives.
Yeah.
You can't see them actually getting terribly far in it, and they die quite quickly, and then, oh, that's too hard, I'm not playing that anymore.
Right, yeah.
They can't save the game, they can't pick up where they left off, they don't have infinite lives, and the idea was to keep kids playing that game over and over and over and over and over again, whereas now it seems to be help them through the game as quickly as possible, give them an enjoyable time so that they can get on to the next title that we're going to sell.
Yeah. I do get that, and that can be really frustrating. But if you like it enough, you won't give up. And I didn't with with Super Mario World, as I've told you before. I ploughed through it, and so many times had to start levels again and got killed, and frustration after frustration. But because I liked it so much, I carried on, and in the end, 3 months later, I beat it and defeated it, and it was such a good satisfaction. But yeah, you're right. In the age of instant gratification, maybe kids aren't prepared to do that anymore.
Yeah, there's too much hand-holding in games these days. As an older gentleman, I find that quite thankful. I remember the days of Manic Miner, where I would lose my temper when I died unfairly, or you missed a ledge.
Died unfairly.
I landed on that ledge. I fell through the ledge. Did you see that? You're turning to your friends going, look, I've been denied. And you yell and scream and get annoyed. Blood pressure goes up. Vessels start bursting. Nostrils flare.
Yes.
But okay, moving on.
But most games, you know, like if you're playing pinball, which we might be coming back to later, you only get a certain amount of balls to play with. You can't just suddenly say, oh, that wasn't fair, it went down the middle, which it did sometimes. There's nothing you could do about it. It went down the middle.
Yeah.
You couldn't get it. But you just have to accept that the game is 5 balls or 3 balls, whichever the table is, and you get on with it. Anyway, yes, we'll come back to that later.
Yeah, but you can't do that now. Right, continuing on with gaming, there's more to learn about the Lenovo Legion Go, which is another Steam Deck style device. But Lenovo are doing something a wee bit different, or are they? They've adopted a Switch-like handheld approach, which means you can disconnect the controllers at the side and use them independently of the screen, which opens up a realm of possibilities. It's still a decent-looking device, and it has the Lenovo Legion seal of quality attached to it. But they do note that it runs Windows 11. And that can't be good, really. I think that's the most intrusive and frustrating operating system that they could ever have put on here. It would have been better off running Android, much like... I can't remember what the Asus one...
The Ally.
runs.
The Ally runs Windows, doesn't it?
Is it Windows 10 that it runs?
Oh, is it? Oh, okay.
And then the Steam Deck runs Steam OS, but you can flip over to Windows.
Right.
But it's got Linux on there for that thing. Windows is such a stodgy, big operating system that just drags things down. If a laptop can't run Windows terribly well, how something like this? But, well, we'll see. Is there anything that caught your eye about the Lenovo Legion Go?
No, not really. It looks like it's very much of the same, really. $699. How does that compare with the Steam Deck and the Ally? Do you know?
It's a wee bit more expensive than the Steam Deck. It's about the same as the Ally. So,
right.
But then the Steam Deck, there's 3 different versions. That it's the top end price for the Steam Deck, but you can get a lower end model.
I think this is the one where I watched a video and someone took the thing off the right hand side, the pad or whatever you call it, and they turned it into a mouse. Would that be right? So there's an accessory you can get, and you put the right hand thingy into this accessory on your desk.
Yes.
And you can scroll around and use it as a mouse. So Windows 11, plug in the screen to a bigger screen, and you're kind of halfway there. Stick a keyboard on, and you're away. That's your main computer, isn't it? So people, I guess it's flexible in that way, but how much more flexible it is than any other system that runs a Windows environment, I don't know. As for gaming, that's your department.
Well, yeah, I've never used a Lenovo Legion gaming system before, so I don't know what Lenovo's tricks and tools are like to be able to play. I've had a go with Asus's Armory Crate on desktop hardware, which is what they kind of infuse into their Ally to help manage these handhelds are all about managing the quality versus the power and trying to get a sweet spot in the middle, depending on what you're doing. So you can turn down the quality to increase battery life, and then if you happen to be home and plugged in, then you can turn up the quality, and because you don't have to worry about battery life. So I don't know what Lenovo's Legion's toolkit is like to be able to handle that sort of thing. But there's also the interaction as well, where not every game is on Steam is developed with a controller in mind. They're more mouse and keyboard, so developers are having to go back and change it around so that you can use a controller. And I think there's a certain percentage of games, and there's a list of games that are on the Steam Deck that are fully compatible with the Steam Deck and fully compatible with the Ally and controllers and that. But where you might actually have a library of, say, 100 Steam games on your computer, you might find that only about 40 of them are fully compatible with the handheld, and then maybe even less of those might be compatible with the likes of Lenovo or Asus.
Right.
Because the focus has been on Steam Deck. But yeah, obviously the Steam Deck has sold well enough, and it's always out of stock whenever it comes to around the time of a sale, whenever I'm trying to pick one up at least, because I don't particularly want to pay full price for it, and I don't want to go for the base model. I want that nicer screen. But the other companies are jumping on board to give you an alternative. So
I just found the picture of what I was talking about with the turning it into a mouse thingy. And that looks like it works really well. I saw that on a video. And also there's a picture of the fact that on the back of the right-hand paddle, it's got a scroll wheel as well, and buttons and stuff. And it looks like it's been really well. I like the look of the hardware. I think it's been really well thought out. And Lenovo, I think, are quite good at that, working things out. And it's the ongoing support that's the problem.
Well, it has the touchpad on the front, which Steam Deck is but people like to say that the Steam Deck is easily the best because it has the touchpad, because it mimics the mouse.
Yep.
The ROG Ally doesn't have that, so it's always a vote against it because it doesn't have that, but it might be slightly more powerful or might have a slightly better battery life or something. So, it's pros and cons, as with everything in the mobile world.
Yeah.
But this one does seem to tick many of the boxes. And I think the one thing that I'm a bit aghast at is that it's Windows 11 and purely Windows 11. They haven't gone for some sort of Linux environment that might run Steam a bit better, but then Steam has a monopoly with Steam OS. So it's going to be hard for them to be able to push out something that does perform really, really nicely, because Windows is the only thing that really runs everything nicely, and it's 100% compatibility.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll keep an eye on it and see what happens with it, and see how it does whenever it arrives.
Yeah.
So, flop your chop about an app. We'll start with YouTube and how the music industry are working together with YouTube to embrace solidarity after the looming threat of AI hits them. What can you tell us about this, Ted?
Well, I got a bit confused with this, and I'm not sure that I understood it properly, which fits well with our show. But it seems that in YouTube, there's a lot of copying and AI-generated copies of people's copyrighted music and writing and
copying and writing.
Yes, and all that.
Writing with copiness.
And all of that is creeping into YouTube. And I think this story is saying that YouTube are working with the music industry to try and wheedle that out and make sure that the artists and the people that have put the money into producing the proper stuff that's not been AI'd, that they get their royalties, and that Google will do their best to protect those people. I think that's what that's about.
Do you remember back in the 1980s and early 90s, you'd be able to buy a a cassette or a CD that claimed it had top tracks on it or something like that, or maybe a movie score, the Star Wars score, and you took it home and you plugged it, or you stuck it into your hi-fi system and pressed play, and it would be someone with a synthesizer doing the tunes.
Oh,
it wasn't
right.
the real thing. It was, they were, $1.99 or something, and it was some knockoff
At Woolies.
Yeah, and you'd think you'd be getting what you wanted, but it wasn't actually. It's not smack of that, where they're just sort of AI is going and rewriting the song with a crap synthesizer in someone's bedroom somewhere.
Yeah, I think that's probably what it's about, and they're ripping off people's copyright, and YouTube are saying we're doing something about it. I think at a simplistic level, that's probably what it is.
I'd like them to be able to take that music and put it on a cassette tape and sell it for $1.99 out of Woolies.
You can.
That'd be nice.
You carry on if you can find a Woolies.
Wilco. Oh no, can't even use Wilco anymore, can you? Poundland. It'll have to be Poundland, but then you can't sell it for £1.50. Oh no, you can. That's right. They don't do things just for £1. Okay, optional Windows 11 updates. I have a bit of a beef with this, I have to say. You can tell us, and then I'll go on with the beef about 22H2.
I've read your beef, and I think that it's not 100% related to what this is actually about. The optional Windows 11 update makes it easier to change default apps, okay? But what it's about is that, I think, as I understand it, is that the developers of applications in the store are able to, if they want to, use a coding system whereby they can force their users to go, or not force, but offer their users the option to go directly to settings, deep linking into it in order to change their defaults. And I don't think they have to do that. So this is not about actually Windows and Microsoft doing the dirty on anyone. It's more about saying, look, we're opening up the API, inverted commas, which is in the phone world. We're opening up this API to developers. If they want to, they can develop the app so that that they are able to send users directly to the settings and change that. So if you installed, for example, Opera, then from now on, the people that develop Opera browser would be able to put that hook into their software. So when you run it, it takes you straight to the settings to change the default. Whereas at the moment, there's nothing on nothing on offer, and Windows just appears to, through Microsoft 11, Windows 11, behave badly. Which brings us probably to the point about your grief.
Well, yeah, that actually makes a bit of sense, but I didn't like the way they went about showing me the example. I got this update yesterday, and there were two things with it that actually narked me. The first was rather simplistic, actually. I applied the update, and I went away from my computer for a number of hours, and then came back, and I had to log into my computer, but it was sitting on the, those kind of splash cards that you get whenever Windows is booting up, and it asks you, do you want to take out an Xbox 365 and advertises its features and turn off Cortana? Well, it doesn't do that anymore, but it used to whenever you were doing a full install of Windows. I clicked through those, and after I clicked the last one away, it took me straight into the system. It didn't ask me to enter my PIN. Security seems to have been removed. So if anyone else had snuck into my house, they could have sat down at the computer and had complete access to my system. Because there was no security after that last screen. It was, there's the desktop. Have fun!
Right.
But that was the first. And then Edge appeared with all of my presets. Of some websites that or my Synology page and my WhatsApp and a few things that I have pinned into Chrome so that they boot up every time the computer boots up, and I can have those straight away. They popped up through Edge, and I okay, and I closed Edge and I went down to Google Chrome and I opened Chrome, and it said Google Chrome is not your default. Click here. And I had to switch it back to being the default. So if it was trying to educate me in the ways of setting a default, it's gone and opened up an instance of Edge on my computer, which I haven't opened in a long time, and I don't want to open. I've removed it from my taskbar and all that kind of caper. And they've just forced their way into, oh, well, you're going to have to change it from default back over to Chrome. And I felt a little aggrieved by that. That's not fair. That's not right. Who gave you permission to change my default browser?
Yeah.
Microsoft has now gone and gotten all of my information.
And this is also related to a story further down about Microsoft Teams no longer being part of Office in the EU. So Microsoft have also been forced by the EU and litigators to say you can't bundle Teams inside a video conferencing application. You can't bundle that any longer in the EU with an installation of Microsoft 365, and it's all the same. It's all the same issue. Is that and Google have done this as well. Google have been really bad at this over the years. They force people basically to use their own tools inside, and the EU are the ones that seem to be doing something about it. They're saying, no, that's not fair. You need to give users a choice. In this case, with Teams and Zoom and whatever else you want to use, with you, it's Edge and your default browser, and hopefully over time these things will get unpicked, and it will take the likes of the EU to say to these big giant tech firms, play fair with everyone, give people a choice.
Yeah, no, I do appreciate them for that. But obviously, where you visit a website, say you go to The Guardian, and it'll tell you, all right, because of the cookies policy now that the EU has put down, you need to agree to these things. I don't understand why you agree to the basics, so that and you say, save that, remember those, so you don't ask me that again. But next time you visit the website, you have to go through it again. And that really hacks me off. It's really annoying me. And especially on mobile devices where you open up, say, The Guardian in your Chrome browser, and it hasn't remembered the last time you were there that you said you want it to only take the necessary cookies for me to be able to look at this website. I don't want all the rest of your crap. And that never happens. And I'm wondering, am I alone? Or is it this the thing where they're just going, well, hopefully they'll end up hitting accept all.
Yeah, which is what I do. In fact, I've got a Chrome extension that just auto clicks the accept all button.
Oh, really?
So whenever I go on I'm not talking about on mobile, but on my computer, whenever I go to a new website and something pops up, my Chrome extension launches in and just says yes.
To everything?
Yeah. Well, no, the cookies. Not everything. Not send me notifications, just the cookies. It's called, the extension is called I Don't Care About Cookies. And it was developed. It was developed by this person who said that everyone, apart from Gareth Miles, just clicks on yeah, fine, and everyone's sick of keep having to click it all the time. So I just do that. I think it's really funny.
I wonder how legal that is as well, because would it be against the EU's policy? Probably not. But I do my very best to say no. You can just have the basics.
Yeah, but it won't work with that.
For the website to run, but I have to do that every single time.
Right.
And there's no point in it actually existing. So I think the EU needs to go back and re-look at the implementation of this to ensure. And also, we're not part of the European Union anymore.
No,
Why are we still getting this?
Yeah, that is different. And presumably that last story I referred to, Microsoft Teams, they might well not do that for the UK. They might still bundle that into Office or Microsoft 365 in the UK. I don't know. They might not consider it's worth the bother to make it a different version.
Yeah. Well, they'll pull out as well. We'll end up just having to work our way through back to Spectrum, Amstrad, and Commodore days.
Yay!
Where that's all we can do. Have to load everything from cassettes, bought for $1.99.
Yay!
Dropbox. Both Dropbox and Microsoft are going to be dropping their unlimited cloud storage options because people are abusing it. And I can, you can kind of understand. But I wouldn't say that people are abusing it. I'd say that people have different needs. You know,
the story for Dropbox is all about cryptocurrency and people on that level of sharing online drive space. You spoke about this before, ages and ages ago, when I was trying to understand cryptocurrency, and you were telling me how all these data centers all work together and blah, 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 and that cryptocurrency, that's all the big problem with it. And I think that's what that's about, is that these crypto people have been doing this, that, and the other. The second bit, before I come back to you, was the Microsoft bit is to do with business only. So that story is not for us mere mortals. That's for business unlimited cloud storage, because us mere mortals didn't get that anyway. But it's interesting how two companies this week have both, for slightly different reasons, said no more unlimited. Your turn.
Well, yeah, I can understand how people are saying that people are abusing it, because I am aware of the likes of data hoarders who took out the unlimited Google Cloud Drive business side of things and were able to upload petabytes of information, you know, of movies and porn and all that. They would just be able to keep all of their stuff off their computer, you know, and back everything up. And they went, hang on a second, we're storing half of the internet here. We need to do something about this. Yeah. But where you got a huge company like Microsoft, they're keeping everything on cloud storage. You know, they would need some sort of unlimited side of stuff. But you know, a small corner shop that might actually need a large amount as well, they might need more than whatever the 10 terabytes is the max that they're offering, or 100 terabytes. They might need more again, like a library or something that's digitally scanning in all their files or something like that. They can't just sort of go, you know, unlimited is up to this amount. There's a fair usage policy, but like whenever we had broadband as well, and there was unlimited connections,
yeah,
and you would have a fair use policy,
yes,
as long as you weren't sort of taking the piss with it. That's what needs to be installed.
Mm-hmm.
But we're not getting that. It's just they're going to bill everyone for the maximum amount, which is set to what? What is Dropbox's max that you can get now?
I think it depends on. If you're talking about for business, it's just different, isn't it? But Dropbox, I haven't used Dropbox for years, so I don't know what the current pricing is. But that Microsoft one is certainly to do with enterprise and business, not to do with ordinary users.
35 terabytes.
Right.
That's the max you can store on Dropbox now.
And what about the pricing?
Well, it depends on what you're using it for. If you're a business that needs more than 35 terabytes to back up, say you've got huge amounts of security footage and you need to keep them for 10 years, then you're going to need a massive amount. You can have your server farm, but any clever backup person will have 3 copies. They'll have on-site, off-site, and in the cloud. So 35 terabytes might not be enough, especially with 4K becoming the big thing.
I think you misheard me. I said, what about pricing?
Yeah, well, I think the pricing's different. It doesn't really matter what the pricing is. It matters about the amount that you can have.
Right, okay.
For the top price. And 35 terabytes is what advanced customers have to utilize less than 35 terabytes per license.
Okay.
So then you have to buy multiple licenses, which means you're spending twice as much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, very tricky. I've
finished. It's all against us. We're going to have to burn them down, take down these companies. Rawr.
Let's get back to Google.
Google messaging.
Who behave perfectly all the time.
Okay.
Google Messages, which is going to be rolling out satellite texting in the coming while. No one knows exactly when exactly. Emulating what Apple have done with what they're up to, but making it much more better, much more betterer. And they're talking about 150 countries being involved in the whole project at launch. And the reason that they're thinking that it's 150 countries is because they've got a track record of working with Garmin.
You said that. Okay.
I was trying to remember what the company was. So they've got a track record of working with Garmin, and Garmin have got 150 plus countries in their scope of what they do. And there's code been uncovered by these people that uncover code that suggests that they're going to get into bed with Garmin and use those that infrastructure in order to launch Google Messages satellite texting. So this is not just about SOS. This is about actually sending text messages two ways, and that it should be kind of global in a much broader sense.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll look forward to that, won't we?
We will. Right. Google Gallows and Chrome Corner, as you seem to be distracted by some blackbird in your skylight, no doubt. Chrome OS 116. You spoke about Lacros earlier, and sure enough, Chrome OS... What? What did you say? You did? Oh, right, sorry. Chrome OS 116 has got some features, but they're not particularly interesting. The interesting bit is about Lacros. Now, what's happening is that Google are separating out Chrome OS from Chrome on Chromebooks. Already, it's separate. Chrome obviously is different on the desktop, on Windows and Mac. It's a standalone environment. But on Chromebooks, up to now, it's been all amalgamated together. And what they're doing is they're separating it out. They're calling the Chrome browser Lacros, and the Chrome OS the Chrome OS, and they're calling it Lacros as the whole project, and the browser differently. So you need to throw some flags at the moment to get it working. If you try and do it under Chrome OS 115, then you will get a canary-looking yellow Chrome icon. And I saw that come through when I did it. When you update to Chrome 116, then you get the icon coming back to normal. Then, if you want to also, at the end of the day, you can throw another flag to have both of them running together, or just having Lacros replacing Chrome completely. Now, all this is very complicated, and having to throw flags and all that claptrap, but the net result of all this is, once you've signed in again and you've made Lacros your kind of browser of choice, the net result of all this is that Google are concerned that by leaving the two things joined together, they can't update Chrome browser as frequently as they want to, and thereby it's become less secure. Now, what they're saying is that they're turning the Chromebook or the Chrome OS into a device like a Windows computer, if you like, and they're putting the browser as an installable product on it, if you like. Although I don't think you've got any choice; you've got to have it. And so you, for example, the net result of that is you'll get a profile switcher. Using Chrome on a Chromebook from now on will look like you're using it on Windows. So you'll just they basically separated it out. Am I explaining this really badly, or are you keeping up?
No, you're doing fine. You're fine. I'm keeping up.
Okay, so that's the net result. For the reason for security and updating the Chrome web browser more quickly, they're turning it into Lacros, and then the Chrome OS, they can stick with their at the moment, Chrome OS gets updated every 4 weeks, but the actual browser can be done much more quickly and readily, and I think maybe, is it via the Play Store? Actually, I haven't checked that, but I think it might be via the Play Store that the Chrome, like it would be on Android, it gets updated in that way. So there you go. Probably to most people, it probably will be quite invisible once it's done, after they've signed back into all their stuff. But it was quite good fun kind of going through that procedure.
I did it this morning. I didn't notice I had to sign into anything.
Okay.
It worked natively.
Oh, perhaps they've fixed that then.
Restart the computer, that was it. Yeah.
Right, okay. Perhaps they fixed that then. There was some stuff that did need doing. But anyway, yeah. Lacros, Lacros, not Lacrosse as in the posh people's hockey game, or whatever it is.
Yes, which has 2 S's, doesn't it?
OSSE, isn't it? I think. Anyway, I don't know. I'm not posh. You may have noticed.
No, never played it.
Right, new Chromebooks could get wireless upgrade to UWB. We were talking about that earlier, making Bluetooth a thing of the past. So that's the same thing as we were saying earlier about those headphones. Really, is that again the code dabblers have said they see this coming, and the net result, as we said earlier, might be that the range of the Bluetooth stuff on a Chromebook is lessened. Google Photos has rolled out the new editor redesign on the web. I don't know if you've seen this, but it has rolled out onto mine. I see it in Chrome. I don't think it now relies on having a Google One contribution subscription. And I can see that there's all sorts of different tools you can use in the web version of Google Photos. Google are going to up the ante on verify it's you prompts. So if you're using sensitive data and actions in what your online activity, they might leap in and say, hang on a minute, that looks a bit suspicious. So when previously you might have just carried on doing something online, then now they might pop up and say, we want 2FA on this, so we'll check that with you, which I think is good. So good for them. YouTube Music is second to last, which is going to be bringing support for subscribing RSS feeds to podcasts. So the podcast function in YouTube Music will be allowing that. So for any of those podcasts that the directories don't collect that are not, that they're obscure ones, you will be able to put an RSS feed in there and get it onto the YouTube Music. At the moment in the UK, I don't think anyone's seen the whole podcast thing in YouTube Music, but it is coming. What I have seen is in Google Keep, which is that they are going to be. Oh no, sorry, I haven't seen this yet. This one's coming as well. Google Keep is going to let you sort your notes into different fields. So at the moment, when you add a new note to Google Keep, it just shuffles it up to the top and everything shuffles down. And the only way you've got of organising it is by putting labels on stuff or pinning stuff to the top. Well, they're going to change that soon, and they're going to give people the ability to, for example, say most recent top or least recent bottom, or a filing system, and that's going to be coming to Google Keep. So those were my Google and Chrome stuff. Anything you want to focus in on?
Well, I'm quite excited about the Google Keep stuff there. I remember having I haven't used it in a while actually. There was an add-in that allowed you to add labels, but I think it was a third-party thing, and you could color code them and stuff, and I used that for a good while. Until I tried OneNote and got away from it now. It's a bit of a mess with notes in there and notes in the other one. I might bring them all back into Google Keep if I can have a bit more of a richer interface with being able to tag them and group them and things.
Yeah. And also you get the rich text editing now on Android, not on web, but on Android. You can add bold and italics and stuff in the text. So that's already rolled out. Grandy.
Right, yeah, good stuff there. It's really coming together after how many years?
Well done, Google.
Yeah, you're getting better at this, I think. All right, I have Heartback this week, and I was just browsing through eBay, and I happened to notice a thing that I remember playing with when I was a kid. I didn't have one, but 2 of my friends did. And one of them was a bit broken, the other one wasn't. It was immaculate, and I'd like to think that he still has it somewhere. I could even ask him. I should. This is from Tomy. It's the Astro Shooter Pinball Electronic Arcade machine, and it was just a pinball machine that you could play with in your house, plugged into a standard wall socket, and you could sit in front of it at a table and pinball away. And it was pretty much fully featured. There's a scoreboard at the back of it, and there was a little blue switch that you could just hit, and there wasn't anything electrical in it. You just pressed the button and it reset all the scoreboard to 0. Mm-hmm. And you'd pull the plunger, and the ball would shoot round, and you'd be able to just play pinball.
Way.
It was the closest thing that I think. It wasn't really like a really crappy knockoff. It was a good, solid pinball table that wasn't terribly expensive. It made loads of noises, and it kind of scratched that itch for kids who wanted to have that arcade experience in the house, a bit like a Nintendo might have a port of a popular video game that's not as good as it is, like Golden Axe on the Nintendo isn't as good as it is in the arcade, but it's enough that a kid's going to be able to go, wow, this is what I want.
Yeah.
I don't think there was anything that you could do with it. You couldn't sort of go and change the backgrounds. You couldn't arrange any of the blinkies and blongies and the twinklies things on it. It was all just a standard setup. And I don't know that they did any other flavours of the arcade machine. I just remember this one, and it must have been sold, close to Christmas, and a couple of parents picked them up as stocking fillers, big stocking fillers, and they sold rather well.
What's the scale?
Enjoying it.
What's the scale? How tall? How long is it? Oh, I can see there's a 3-pin plug laying next to it in one of the pictures, which gives it some scale, I suppose.
Yeah, and that's quite a big plug at that. It's a long sort of thing, but yeah, it maybe was about
2.5 feet.
I was going to go for centimetres there, so everyone can identify with it. Maybe about 60 centimetres by 30 centimetres. It wasn't massive, but for a child, for the sort of 10-year-old kind of target age audience,
yeah,
it was enough, and there was enough space inside the actual pinball machine for them to have a bunch of things. The I don't know all the terminology for where the ball bounces off things, and I think there was 3, maybe 4 paddles in it. I think from the pictures I can see 3. But it was home pinball. It was cheaper, much cheaper than some of the other options, and it worked.
And there's no latency.
No,
like me
not.
playing pinball on my telly, which you keep missing the bloody ball because the Bluetooth screws it up. This looks great, and I do think I remember it. I think it's probably too late for me to have one as a child or anything, but I seem to remember seeing this in like Argos or in the usual outlets. You might see this kind of thing. And I have got a very vague memory of it. Tomy also. Wasn't Tomy the firm that made things like... You see, the top plate of it looks a bit like Operation, games like that. And I wonder if Tomy were behind that whole Operation thing as well. But this is great. I would have loved this as a child. I was so into pinball and would still be if I was to go to amusement arcades. That would be the first thing I would go to. I used to love pinballing, and if I'd had one of these at home, I would have been away. It looks really good. I bet it was great fun.
Well, I had a quick click through to eBay to see what they're kind of going for. And a fully boxed one's about £150, but there are other versions as well. There's older ones from 1979 that must have been a slightly lesser version of it, and then they expanded it more into this. There's there's a white one from 1979. This is a much smaller scoreboard and isn't quite as accurate a rendition of pinball. So they improved on it because that white one must have sold rather well. Mm-hmm. And in '83 they put out this Astro Shooter one.
Yeah, very good. I like that.
It all lights up. And,
yeah.
It's good fun.
I would like one of those.
For 5 minutes and then you move on.
Yeah. Well,
I was never a big pinball fan.
Well, that's the thing, is that if you go down the amusement arcades, which is what I used to do, there was a whole row of these. So you when you get fed up with the way that one plays or looks or whatever, you go to the next one. One. I can remember in the amusement arcade that I was close to in Pagham in Sussex, there must have been a row of about 20 of these, and you could just go from one to the next, and I didn't get bored. I just was there all day with my 10p's.
I have a friend who runs a shop locally, and he's got a bunch of pinball machines up the back. I remember him excitedly telling me, because he remembers me being a big Indiana Jones fan from when I was a kid. Mm-hmm. So I used to get him to record the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles off Sky, which is something I didn't have at the time. So he would record it on a video. I think he managed to get 2 episodes, and that was about it. But I went in one day to check and see how he was keeping. And he went, "Oh, I've got the Indiana Jones pinball machine up the back. Do you want to come and see it?" And I was like, I suppose. I'll have a look. And it was a pinball machine, but it just had the scoreboard was Indiana Jones.
Yeah,
and it said the odd thing from Raiders of the Lost Ark every now and again.
Yeah.
And it had the idol and the Ark and maybe the Holy Grail or something somewhere. But I just didn't see the enticement of it.
It's just theming. All of those pinball machines were just about theming and slight changes to where the paddles were or what they did. But yeah, you're right. It was an early theming. They would just change the pictures on the back and the way that the readout on the top panel gave you your score and no doubt picture of Indy holding his hat, leaping through some cave or something on facing you behind all the graphics.
Yeah, and saying some comment that you would probably get maybe in a game that was badly digitized, but it sounds a wee bit better because it's got a better speaker on the pinball machine, because the pinball machine cost about £1,000.
I love it. I love pinball. Unlike you couldn't appreciate that, but I can. Fantastic.
No, my parents just never gave me 10p to be able to go and play them because they thought it was a waste of money.
Indeed it was. It's amused. It's amused at the amusement arcade.
Yes, yeah, they were big biz back then. All right, moving into Bargain Basement, where we're going to have a look at some big biz in the sales. And we'll start with Ted.
Oh, the first one is what I referred to earlier, which is the Soundcore Space One headphones. And I'm absolutely convinced that they were supposed to be 99 quid on release, and they're 89 quid. As I say, I borrowed a pair from Amazon, and yeah, 89 quid. And for 89 quid, actually, I think they're really, really good, particularly for someone who wants light, wear-all-day headphones and not in any way heavy. You don't know you've got them on, and they sound pretty good to me.
Hey, yeah. And they're a decent price. Yeah, 89 quid's not bad, I have to say.
No.
The next one is, it's actually my computer case. That's what I currently stare at. The Corsair iQ4000X RGB with the tempered glass at the front. You can get it in 2 ways. There's the one with the tempered glass at the front is slightly more expensive. You can get it with a mesh at the front, but the tempered glass, being more expensive, actually runs warmer than the mesh, which is cheaper. But this has dropped in price from, well, they're saying £143 down to £96, which is a significant saving if that was actually the price. I think I paid £110 for it whenever I bought it. But it's a lovely ATX PC case. It's got 3 fans at the front. I bought another fan and stuck it at the back just to get airflow going, and then put the AIO radiator thing on the processor and stuck it to the top because there's ventilation gaps at the top for more fans. But I love it. Absolutely love it. And you can see everything that's happening inside. And if you've got RGB RAM and RGB motherboard, then you can look through and see it. You can change the color of the fans using the IQ software. You can have it either just running a rainbow, or you can click a button and it'll try and it'll look at the game that you're playing and sort of replicate the colors that are happening on screen most predominantly, and do those through the fans. It's actually kind of good fun. And it's nice that it's coming down to under £100. That means that everyone can enjoy this kind of case, and it's a good big case as well. There's tons of space for all your bits and pieces, and there's a good amount of clearage around the other side for cable management. so you don't have to look at all those ugly wires dangling down. I have just the graphics card power adapter, and then the radiator cables that has the solution swirling up and down it to keep the processor cool. It's great.
Looks lovely.
Good stuff.
Yeah. Lots of bells and
94
whistles.
quid's not bad.
94 quid. Yeah, very good. Okay, I'm going to link next to what I do sometimes now and again, a page of Samsung bargains. So there'll be something for everyone here, as long as you've got a Samsung, I suppose, or you want a Samsung. The thing that stood out for me was just recently I bought, for my S22 Ultra, I bought this Smart View case, and I really liked it, and I thought, oh yeah, that's nice, and I used it on the S22 Ultra, but I didn't know you could get one for the S23, the baby one, and I'm really tempted to get one, but it is £31.50 still, even though it's reduced. But it's really nice. It's got a window in it, and I quite fancy that. So, for anyone into Samsung, a whole page, in fact, there's 4 pages of lots of bargains in there, which I'll link to in the show notes. Anything you fancy there?
I'm actually just having a look at the Samsung Galaxy official book cover for the Tab S9. That's the S9 Plus is listed there. I can't see the S9. Down from £230 to £160. That's a significant savings.
Wow, yeah.
30%. And then the official Slimbook keyboard cover for the S9 Plus is down from £160 to £90, which is 44% according to them. So I'd quite like to find the regular S9, I suppose the S9 Plus, because it's a wee bit bigger. There's the S9 Ultra as well, which is, that's the book cover from £95 to £66.
The book cover's the one without the keyboard, is it?
Yeah, it's the one I currently have.
Okay.
I'm not seeing it. Not seeing it.
Oh dear.
But I shall investigate further whenever I'm not being recorded. The Kingston Data Traveler Exodia is a 128 gigabyte flash drive that's compatible with USB 3.2 Gen 1. And it's got a wee protective cap that fits over the end of it quite nicely and goes on your keyring if you need to, and it's available in multiple colours. It's only £7.79. It is reduced in price from £7.99. It's not much of a saving, but I think these look really quite cool. I wouldn't mind one.
Hang on a minute. I'm seeing £5.69.
Oh.
So I'm seeing obviously something different to you, but yeah, 29% off, $7.99 RRP, 29% off, £5.69.
Right. Okay. Maybe for people in Northern Ireland, it's gone back up again.
Yeah,
that might have been what it was earlier.
Yeah, it could be. It could be that whole thing that often happens with Northern Ireland and storage and power banks, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is it being sold by eBuyer UK?
No, this is the Kingston store.
Ah, right. The one I'm looking at, I clicked on your link and it took me to this page, and it's eBuyer UK. So, I don't know how I can. I'll tell you what I'll do. Yeah. I'll put a link into the show notes. Just talk amongst yourselves, dear listeners, while we penticulate here. There you go. That's the link that I have got to. If you click on that, you will see that is exactly where I am. Can you not see that page?
No, it's 7.79.
Right.
So eBuyer mustn't be available to Northern Ireland, even though we can go onto their website and order from them there. They mustn't have the correct button checked.
Right. Okay. Well, anyway, it's
doing themselves out of sales there.
It's still cheap, whatever.
It is.
Right. And now, if Lemorelli is a name you trust, then you can get a 13-in-1 USB-C docking station with pass-through power, blah, 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 blah. 13-in-1, and it's been reduced down and down and down, and it's ended up at £27.44. Well, I'm assuming it was last night. Let me see if it still is. 27. Oh no, it's gone back. Oh yes, it is. £27 $44 after you've taken the voucher off and everything. And yeah, it looks like it's really good. I've never heard of the make, but it looks like it's pretty good, and it's got, tons and tons of connections. Very, very neat indeed.
That is very nice looking, I have to say. Did you say you had one of these? I missed that.
No, I haven't got one.
Are you getting one?
This is just something that I actually don't need one. But if I did need one, we often see 7-in-1s and 5-in-1s and all the rest of it. This is 13-in-1, and it's got loads and loads of ports and options and just tons of stuff, loads of connections. It might be crap. I've never heard of the company, so don't trust me on it. But have a look anyway.
I think it still looks pretty good, and they usually lose that Ethernet at the end, and it's nice to see that it's there.
Yeah.
Good call. Well found.
Mm-hmm.
Ugreen next. This is the Ugreen 65-watt USB Type-C charger, and it's a plug-in 4-port GAN that has 3 Type-Cs and 1 Type-A on that, which all combined together give you 65 watts. You can charge 4 things at once, and there's probably a breakdown as to which port does what, and how much it can put out whenever the others are putting out at the same time. But I don't have that information. But it's very cheap now. It's down from £40 to £32, which is a saving of 20%.
It looks very pretty.
Very good if you're going on holiday.
I like the side of it. It looks like it's cloth or something. Probably isn't, but it looks like it is. Very nice.
It's grippy, wiry, meshy thing. I've got that on the side of the Lum Sing one that I have.
Have you indeed?
My wife uses. Yeah.
Well done.
It's lovely.
Right, now, my last one is going to be something that you brought to the show a couple of shows back, which is that crucial X8 2TB SSD. And I think this is the lowest price that it's been. I checked Keeper, and I think that's true. £86.99. And I think that's a serious bargain. When I consider how much I paid for my SanDisk 2TB one, it was like, 200 quid more than this. And this is a real bargain. Will they sell that to you for £86.99?
They will, because I bought one last week. And it's currently sitting at the back of my PlayStation 5. It hooked up, and I've put all the PlayStation 4 games on this to free up the space of the PlayStation 5 to put the PlayStation 5 games on, because you can play the PlayStation 4 games directly from this, and it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
It's just that that gadgety thing. Whenever you pick it up, it feels so small but solid in your hand. It's really well made. It's lovely to handle. I really, really like it, and I want another case to have another one, but I can't warrant buying another one. I want to be able to use it, but I've never really had need for it. No. I have the X6, which is the smaller one again, but I don't really use it. In fact, my stepdaughter's using it now. But this one, it's smaller than a credit card, but longer than a credit card and fatter than a credit card.
Very nice. It's an amazing price, isn't it? $86.99. It was started off apparently at $208.99, but I think it was more than that actually at some point. But it's just incredible. I've got the same problem as you. I've got this SanDisk 2TB one, which incidentally is still going perfectly fine. But with my new connectivity speed on my EE, I just don't need it for anything. It sits in my wallet and I never use it, which is a real waste. I need to find some way of using it.
Yeah. And I always thought, this is the kind of thing that you need if you're a photographer and you need to download all your photographs to this to keep them safe. And 2 terabytes means you'll have ample space. That's why my daughter's using the X6 that I have. She is doing photography at the moment and trying to become a professional photographer, and she's got that to back up all her photographs too when she takes them.
Yeah.
Even though it's sitting in her bedroom and not being used.
No.
But yeah, they're great. I really love it, and I love it for being able to hook it up to the PlayStation. It's tiny. and sit in the back. I will say that the cable is quite long, sticking out of the back, but it does come with a USB-C to USB-A adapter that's really quite nice, but that pushes it out even further again, so it can sit about 3 inches out of the side of a laptop if you hook it up by USB Type-C, which might be too long for some people.
Yeah.
And it did irk me, and I was thinking I'll have to get another cable that comes out at a right angle so that I can put the PlayStation back against the TV unit, because it's currently sitting at a bit of an angle.
Right. Yeah. So I'll try and think of some way of using mine anyway that is not going to sit in a drawer.
Well, you could store leaked documents on it.
Indeed.
Why not? And the last one is Anchor. It's a USB Type-C charger. It's 65 watts. It's got 4 ports at the front. Sounds familiar, but with Ugreen attached to it. But this one is more of it's like a desktop solution that allows you to charge stuff and hook up stuff on the desk. It's flat and has 4 ports at the front, 1 USB Type-C and 4 USB Type-A's. It's got a power port Atom 3 slim wall charger thing that it uses to charge your stuff smartly, with a 45 watt power delivery port that is good for USB Type-C laptops, as you would well imagine. So you can charge your laptop over this and then charge a bunch of peripherals alongside it, I think at a slower rate. The 20 watts will be divided up against your phone and earbuds, according to the picture there, and that conference call thing, Ted, that you bought.
Yeah. I'm trying to work out how she's got that stuck to the bottom of her desk. Unless it's just with, I don't know, a double-sided tape or something. But it looks like it's supposed to go, that's an option for housing it on your desk. Can you see that? Third picture down. And
I was thinking that would be quite nice, but you'd end up moving it all the time as well. And having a power cable dangling.
Yeah, I suppose so. Anyway, really nice. I've eyed that up now and again. Again, I've got no use for one, but I really wish I had.
Maybe one day. Mm-hmm. Make those conference calls. And the IQ thing is kind of good too. All right, did I say what price it was? I don't know. I'll say it again just in case I didn't. It's down from £37 to $28.99. That's a saving of 22%. You find the link to those in the show notes. If you click on through, it'll throw Ted some pennies and myself some pennies to pay for our time that we're ignoring our mothers that are sitting downstairs waiting on a cup of coffee.
Yes.
All right. Well, that about brings us to the end. I guess that's all that's left to do is for us to sign off, fart, and leave. So if you want to get in touch with us, you can by contacting us at gareth@techaddicts.uk, and you can find us on Twitter as well, at techaddictsuk. You can find me on Twitter too, at Gareth Miles, GarethMyles. I am also on Mastodon, for those who adon Mastodon. And I have my GarethMiles.com if you're lost and you need to find some links to things that I do. There's a Ko-Fi there as well where you can buy me a coffee, because I can always use more coffee. Ted, where can they find you?
TedSalmon.com. That's where I am based, and links out to everything I do from there. Audio podcasts, MeWe groups. MeWe groups especially. Do come and join our MeWe groups. Link in the show notes, or at TedSalmon.com to that. Do come and chat to us about... We need some more traffic in our MeWe group, so do come and join up and talk to us about your tech. And, let us know what you use. If you want to buy me a copy and not Gareth, then you can get that at paypal.me/Ted Salmon. Or here's a better idea. Get us both one.
Yeah, split it between us. A coffee with straws. 2 straws. Grand. Take care, everyone, and we'll catch us in 2 weeks for... Oh, wow. This is really long, this show. Oh, no, that's because I ran outside. But even still, I wasn't outside for 36 minutes. Grief. Is this a new record? Guess we'll find out.
We'll find out, yeah.
Take care.
Okay, then.
Bye.
Bye.